Hey there, my name's Holly from hollygrace.ca and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use Cricut Infusible Ink transfer sheets to create a layered design on a mug using the Cricut Mug Press. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming videos. For this next month and going into November, I have a lot of really great Cricut tips and tricks videos planned, so you're not going to want to miss those. And as well, if you want to be notified every time I post a video, make sure you hit the little bell icon. So in this video, we're going to do the project from start to finish. So hopefully you learn how to use your Cricut Mug Press and do a layer design yourself. If you have any comments or questions, please post those in the comment section below and I will try my best to answer them for you. So without further ado, let's jump right into the project. Alright everyone, so I have Design Space pulled up here and we're just on the home page and we're going to go down here to our middle bar and we are going to select New Project. So now that we're in the Design Space area where we can begin creating, we're going to go to this left hand side menu and we're going to select Projects. Now Cricut Design Space already has mug template project set up for us, so I'm just going to search mug here in the top right and we're going to go down here and we're going to select this mug design setup. So this opens up this screen here and what we're going to do is we're going to select our finish size. So we're just doing a straight edge 12-ounce mug, but if you want, there are different options, like if you want like a scalloped edge or a ripped edge, there are all kinds of different designs and patterns you can use, wavy, all kinds of neat things. But for this tutorial, we're just going to go with a straight edge. Once I have that selected, we're going to go to Customize. And then what that does is it puts this on our project space here. So there are 3 elements to this design. So the first element here, when we click on it, is the mug guidelines. So this shows you here where to put your design. So if you want your design in the middle, you're going to put it right here. If you want it off to the left or the right, you're going to use these guidelines here. So it's very important though, and we're going to get to this in a little bit, before we cut, you do want to hide this layer. So you do that by clicking the eyeball over here on the right. And then what that does is it will remove that layer before cutting, because we don't want to mark this pen. We don't need it. It's just a guideline for when we're designing. And Cricut even puts that here. Hide this layer before cutting, so you know that. The other element to our design, this is the actual project here. So this is going to be our infusible ink transfer sheet. So whatever transfer sheet we're using, whether it be a pattern or a solid color, this is what is actually going to cut out. Now these markers here, this wavy line here on the side and on this side here, we actually want to cut this as well, because what it's going to do is it's going to cut this out of the transfer tape backing on the transfer sheet, so that we have some sticky sides so that we can line it up on our mug. And that's all going to make more sense when it actually cuts out, and I can show you more. But we're not just cutting a solid piece here. So we're going to start designing and we're going to put our design over this. So I'm going to go over here to Images. And first thing I want to do is I want to find a nice pumpkin. So I'm going to type in here pumpkin, and we're going to find a nice pumpkin to place on our transfer sheet. So I'm just going to go down here until I find a design that I like. I don't want to go too intricate here, so let's just see. I think I like something like this. Okay, so if you want to do this project exactly as I am here, if you click this little, I'm going to click this little right info button. This one is called Pumpkin with Vines. So if you're having a hard time finding it, just type up here in the search bar Pumpkin with Vines, or you can even type in this number here. So M28048-2AC, and that image will come right up. Now I also want to put some words on my mug, so I'm going to search good morning And again, if you have Cricut Access, you'll be able to do this project just like I am here, because you will have all these images available to you. I'm actually going to search Good Morning Pumpkin. Now, this one pops up. I'm not really fussy on the font on that one, so I may veer off and make my own here. So let's just search down. I found one earlier when I was looking. Okay, so this Good Morning here, I really like this one. Okay, and then the info for this one is just Good Morning, but then here is the code for you guys, M156AD09. And then I also like down here, this pumpkin. So I like this little font here. And this one is pumpkin, and it's M8A1D3F1. So we're going to add those to our canvas here. Now, we're going to have to resize these. So I'm just going to move them out of the way for a second. Let's bring this down a bit, and we do this by grabbing this arrow here in the bottom right box. All right. Now, for some reason, my pumpkin is not showing up here. It's not here. Sometimes Cricut, when you insert your images, they go all over the place. So we're just going to click over here on the right-hand menu. These are all the images we have in our project. So if we just click that, it'll take it right to us. And if we zoom out here, we can see that it's just down there a bit. So I'm just going to move that up. We're going to zoom back in here and get back on our project. All right, so now how I'm going to set up this mug is I want my words on one side of the mug and then the pumpkin on the other. So I'm just going to line everything up here to where I want it. Maybe I'll make that a little bit bigger so the G kind of just sits by the end there here. I kind of like that look there. All right, now this pumpkin here, I'm going to move. So on one side of the mug, I'll have the pumpkin, and then on the other side, I'll have the Good Morning Pumpkin. But what we have to do here, we have to actually do a knockout, because we cannot put infusible ink over top of infusible ink over the transfer sheet. So we're going to do a knockout. So we'll start with the words first, because that will be easiest. And how you do a knockout is you're going to select, and you can only do one element at a time. So we're going to start with this Good Morning text here. We're going to select that, and then I'm also going to Command hold, and we're going to select the small mug wrap as well. Okay, so now we have both of those two things selected, the Good Morning and the small mug wrap. We're going to go down here to the bottom right, and we're going to select Slice. Okay, now some things have disappeared. Don't panic. We're going to move some elements out of the way. So we're going to take this Good Morning, and we're going to move it off. Okay, then we're going to take this other one here. Remember, we're slicing out, we're knocking out. This is sliced out of our transfer sheet. We do not need this one, so just X that out. There we go. Now we have our knockout. So we can cut this and place it right in there when we're pressing it onto our mug press. So we're just going to leave that off to the side for a minute, and we're going to do the other elements in the same fashion. So we're going to select the transfer sheet again. We're going to go over here, and we're going to select the pumpkin one. So we're going to click pumpkin. We're going to hold our transfer sheet, and we're going to hit slice again. Okay. So now we have our elements over here sliced out. We don't need the blue one. Get rid of that one. Here's the black one. We can move that one. Oh, I moved my transfer sheet. It keeps wanting to select the transfer sheet. Well, that's okay. We can leave it on there. It's beneath, and we know it's sliced out. So, actually, I wonder if... Okay, so if you're having a hard time moving it, that's what I thought. I'm just going to show you guys. I just wanted to test and make sure it worked. So if you're having a hard time moving this and the transfer sheet is moving instead of the words when you click them, basically what you do is you have to send it right to the back. So send your transfer sheet all the way to the back, this blue layer, send it all the way to the back, and then you can grab this and move it off. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with this pumpkin design. But as you will notice here, see how this design has two different elements? So if we select that and we select the transfer sheet, you'll notice the slice button is grayed out. We can't do it. That's because you have two different colors selected at the same time. You can only slice one element at a time. So what we have to do is we have to click off and just do one at a time. So see here on the right menu how I'm clicking one or the other? So just start with one thing at a time. So we'll start with the leaves. We'll select the transfer sheet and the leaves, and we're going to hit slice. Now that button is highlighted for us and we can do that. So we selected the leaves. Those have now sliced out. And we can remove the blue layer. Remember, we're always removing the blue sliced layer. And now we have that there. All right, now we have one last one to do, and that is the pumpkin with the vines. So again, for some reason when you slice it, your transfer layer always comes back up to the front. So just keep sending it back to the back. Oh, sorry, I was clicked on the pumpkin there. Okay, so now let's select our pumpkin, select our sliced result transfer sheet over here, and slice again. All right, now we can move our pumpkin off, get rid of that blue layer, and now we have all this knocked out of our design. So we can press this onto the actual mug, because like I mentioned earlier, the infusible ink to work, it has to be touching the mug. You cannot, it's not like HDV, you cannot press layers on top of each other. So now what we're going to do is we don't have to attach all this. It's going to be cutting out in different colors. So just leave everything where it is. You don't have to put your design back together. But remember, we do want to hide this layer. So now that we're ready to cut, we are going to hide this layer. So let's click the eyeball in the bottom right, get rid of that red marking, and then we can go to make it. Okay, so as you see here, when we get to this mat, you'll see this is separate. So we actually want this to cut out around this and be together so that we have those nice handles to attach our mug. So we're just going to hit cancel for a minute and go back, because we do need to actually take these two things, select them, and we need to attach them. Okay, so now it's attached together. So now it'll actually slice out of here. Okay, so let's go back and we'll hit make it again. We're going to select our mat. And sorry, we're going to have to move this one back. All right, now let's go back and make sure we mirror everything. All of our mats here. And now it's together, so let's mirror that. All right, so now that everything is mirrored, I just always like to double check. It's better to double check and make sure. Now, when you're checking through your mats, make sure you always come back up and click on mat number 1, because your Cricut is going to start cutting on whatever mat you have selected. So you always want to make sure you're starting at the top. So let's hit continue, and our machine is going to connect there. All right, and now we're going to select our base material. So since we are working with the infusible ink transfer sheets, I don't see them here. So we're just going to hit browse all materials, and we're going to search transfer sheets. And then all these transfer sheets come up here. So we just want the infusible ink transfer sheet. And now we can load our mat and follow the prompts. So our first mat is the letters. I'm going to use this brown pattern in the Distressed Rustic box. So when you buy infusible ink transfer sheets, they always come in this black wrapper. So this is just to protect the infusible ink transfer sheets from the sunlight. So you want to make sure you save that black wrapper to restore all your transfer sheets. There's also some butcher paper in there that you can use if you're pressing with the heat press, but for the mug press, we don't need the butcher paper. So we have all our colors in here, so I'm just going to pull out the brown one, and then I'm going to lay it down on my standard grip mat with the pattern side facing up. We're going to load it into our Cricut Maker here, and I'm just going to hit the load button, and then our Cricut Maker is going to cut out the letters. When it's done cutting, we can unload our mat. And when we go to remove the transfer sheet, you want to make sure that you remove the mat from the transfer sheet. So flip it over and pull the mat off the transfer sheet. Next color I'm going to take is this tangerine color, and this is what we're going to use for the pumpkin cutout. So same thing, we're going to load our mat, and then the Cricut machine is going to do the cut. For the leaves, I'm going to use avocado, so we are going to just load the sheet on our mat and repeat the process. For the wrap that is going to go around our mug, I like this color here in the Distressed Grassland pattern pack. So when we are opening this one and pulling it out, these colors appear a little bit different than they do on the box, on the transfer sheets, but don't worry, once the heat is applied, they will look just like the box. So for this one, it's actually this blue looking one. We know this darker one is the darkest color here, and then this light blue one that appears blue is actually that seafoamy green color. Now with all our pieces cut out, we have to weed them. So weeding infusible ink transfer sheets is a little bit different than vinyl or iron-on. You actually want to bend the transfer sheet a little bit so that the letters break away, and then you just peel off the areas that you don't need. You don't actually need to use a weeding tool. You can just use your fingers. They peel off just nicely here. And I actually find it really easy to weed infusible ink transfer sheets. For our large piece here, the wrap, we want to remove the side pieces off of the transfer sheet, and this is what I was talking about here earlier in the video, how we will have these nice sides here to actually stick onto the mug so that it'll hold onto the mug. So when you peel off this part here, it reveals these little sticker handles that we have, and this is what we're going to use to hold it onto the mug. But before that, we need to remove all the areas inside that we don't need, where our other pieces are going to fit in. So we peel all these away, just like we did before with the other infusible ink transfer sheets, except for this time, before we put it on the mug, we actually have to put back in the layers. So before we do that, I'm just going to turn on my mug press here and let that heat up. It does take a while to heat up, so I'm just going to get it going. And then I am going to patch back in the layers that we knocked out, so everything fits back in just like a puzzle. So you place the pieces exactly where they need to go, and the backing is sticky, so everything just sticks on nicely. Once I have everything all set and ready to go there, we are just going to wrap it right around our mug. And like I mentioned earlier, we have these sticky little handles here that we can actually just stick down, and it keeps everything in place on our mug. Before we put it in our mug press, we do want to double check and make sure that none of the pieces have slid around and they're all perfectly in place. We're going to slide our mug down into our mug press, making sure that the handle is in the middle, and then all we have to do is push down the lever. The mug press will start the timer on its own. You don't have to press anything, and these indicator lights on the top of the mug press show you what stage it's at. So once all the lights are lit up, you will hear a beeping sound, and that means your mug press is done, and you can flip back up the lever. Be very careful when removing your mug from the mug press. It will be extremely hot, too hot to even touch the part that was in the mug press. We're going to remove the infusible ink transfer sheets, and our mug is complete. I really hope that this tutorial was super easy to follow. If you have any questions, you can always pop them in the comments and I will try my best to answer them. This is just one technique and one way that you can use multiple different colors with infusible ink transfer sheets. Thanks so much for watching this video. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos that I have coming up.